So, I am not an influencer. I am not a content creator. I am a mom, a wife, a daughter, a sister, friend, and a storyteller. I love to tell stories. And I like to reimagine um, situations and offer understanding of experiences and a reframing of experiences that help to serve people, encourage people, and bring people into more freedom and joy and peace. I looking at a story and from lots of different perspectives. Um, I have learned that storytelling really serves me, often seeing situations um, and uh, from a story has helped me to feel safe. Um, Sometimes the story that I believe is not always the truth of that situation. Um, Sometimes it is a lie. The story that I'm believing is a lie. But that story serves me in a moment to feel safe. And, then later I can re examine and reflect on um, my feelings in that moment, um, the discomfort of that moment, um, the loss of autonomy, maybe in that moment, a power dynamic, hierarchical, authoritative power dynamic. Um, Sometimes black and white, sometimes right and wrong. Um, I often to feel safe need to be the one right in my story. I recognize that in stories um, that I share, and not with condemnation. I think that comes from a lot of the trauma that I've experienced of not being believed, not having a voice, being told I'm wrong, in trouble, those kinds of things. Those are stories, right? That I believed about myself, shame. Sometimes I can be the worst person in my story. Um, Somehow that makes me feel safe. It gives me some kind of control. Um, yeah, and I'm still exploring just my human experience. So, anyways, I don't have any master's degrees. I didn't, I went to college, but it was more for uh, a place to live than an education to receive. Um, it was also more because I didn't think that there was any other options. And that was the story that I'd heard my whole life, that the only option is college um, after you leave your home, and then marriage, children, stay-at-home mom. Like, that was kind of the story that I lived in. And so that is the path that I chose. So, storytelling can help us understand why we did what we did, why we made the choices that we made, what we believed about ourselves and others, and Um, it's a beautiful, free way to express and be creative. It's not always the truth, right? But there's still a lot of grace, and there's still a lot of compassion, and there's a lot of freedom to get our story wrong. There's just so much freedom to misunderstand our own story, and our own experiences, and to see that in that moment, the story that you grabbed hold of and you believed was serving you. And it's not because you're a bad person or want to harm anyone else. Yeah. So anyways, I don't have any credentials. I am just a human being figuring out how to be a human being. And I am wanting to encourage others and empower others, not so much instruct, not so much advise, but just say, imperfectly, this is something that has served me, and it seems to be kind of how my brain works. I often find myself in conversation and then entering into a story, like sharing a story to communicate something that I didn't know. I didn't have the language to communicate, but I had the story, and it helped me maybe find meaning, or help to bring understanding, help to explain something a little bit better. So these aren't the only ways that we can find relief, but it is a way to find relief and freedom, to express ourselves imperfectly, and to be believed, and to make mistakes. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't tell that story anymore. So this might also make people a little bit uncomfortable, because it's like, well, I need to be certain. I need to be certain about this, because if I'm certain about this, and this is, I'm speaking for myself, because this is, I'm testing this out, right? Like I'm kind of trying to be like this. I'm a person who needs a lot of certainty to feel safe. So oftentimes, if I wasn't certain about a particular story, my body felt a way. I didn't give myself permission to grieve or to be angry about something, because I just wasn't certain that I deserved to be angry or to be sad about something if I couldn't necessarily remember it happening. And so, it felt like I need to be, I'm not allowed, okay? And I realized, well, that's interesting. That's a story that I'm believing, that how I feel in my body, if people on the outside don't believe I'm allowed to feel that, or don't believe that that's what happened, then I'm not allowed to be sad, or I'm not allowed to be angry. I'm not allowed to grieve that. my body doesn't have permission to move through that emotion because it doesn't, it didn't happen, or or you misread the situation, or you fell, and because that scrape doesn't look that bad, you don't get to react to that scrape as if your leg got chopped off, so often I wasn't given permission to scream as loud as I needed to scream and wail as loud as I needed to wail and feel all that I felt because of falling off my bike, because my leg didn't fall off. So you're fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. But it wasn't. And I needed people to believe me that it wasn't. So anyways, yeah, I'm sharing some of these things. Not as anyone who has authority on the matter, but just a person who is navigating this life and gaining wisdom and knowledge through experience. Not through education, not that those are places that you can't gain wisdom, but more just as I live and allow life to teach me. It's very slow learning. It is not a quick or efficient way to learn or to gain wisdom or knowledge or insight or discernment. It's not. It is slow. And I have felt, I need all of that wisdom immediately. Or I need all this knowledge immediately. I have my phone now that can give me all of this knowledge immediately, but I don't have the experience. And it is wonderful that I have this tool, my phone, and AI and, all of these things to help bring wisdom and understanding and knowledge. But something is lost, right? The pain of gaining wisdom and knowledge, the suffering, the denying of myself, the building of character that happens in that wisdom and that knowledge, that can't always happen within, systems of indoctrination or, play is missing. Just play, the exploration, the imagination, the fun of going out and learning through mistakes. So I don't want to give advice. I want to invite people into the human experience, the slow, painful discomfort, that often brings about so much more knowledge, wisdom, awareness. The fruit of it for me has been greater than the fruit of information received online, So online, I'm sharing this to say, to invite you to offer whatever it is that you think I'm offering. Whatever it is that you think I'm inviting you to. That thought you just had in your own mind, you can trust that. Of what I'm inviting you to, what I'm offering.